Alright,
Crash Bandicoot 2.
You are live. We are ready to go.
Cortex.
Take it away.
wonderful. Alright,
Press
so,
start.
hello everyone, my name is
Begin.
Stump, and I'll be doing Crash 2 80% no game reviews. So, I want to hit new game. Time will start when I gain control. I will count down to that point if you're ready for that. Are we?
Yep, we are good. Whenever you're ready to start.
Alright, off we go. So, there's this opening little cutscene that I just have to skip. Alright, and then, let's see, we will do 3, 2, 1, and start. So, here we are. This is Crash 2 80% no game over reviews, where I am going to be going through all of the levels in this and getting just the crystal from each, which is what I need for just to unlock each boss and make progress through the game. Other than that, it's just a case of getting through all the levels. So here we are in the first one, and you'll see that I'm doing a lot of sliding and spinning, and the reason for that is that is the fastest continuous form of movement along ground. It's called the neutral slide spin because I slide, which is much faster than walking, but has a cooldown. But if I let go of the directional button and then do a spin input before I, well, at the end of the slide, I continue to have my slide speed, even though the slide cooldown is running, so I can move continuously at slide speed. Yeah, but just like that, we're done the first level. Now, you'll notice I have 2 masks. If you get a third one, you get temporary invincibility, but I am not going to do that because having third mask form in this game messes a lot with what forms of movement are or are not the fastest. And most notably, this neutral slide spinning speed just doesn't have an equivalent that I can do when I'm in third mask form. So there is one exception where I do want third mask form on one of the levels in the 4th world, but well, that'll be it'll be a bit before we get there. You might also be wondering about the no game over abuse part. Almost fell into that, and that is because. So when I pick up one of the major collectible items, like the crystal, it's stored to be given to me at the time that I finish a level. And then Crash throws it up into the air and it floats into place like that, and then it actually counts. So, it turns out in this game that if you pick up one of those finger slipped on my D-pad. Turns out that if you pick up one of the items and then you game over, it remains in well, it remains queued in the items that you should get that you should get credit for when you exit a level. So it is possible to save some time by, in certain levels, getting the crystal and intentionally game overing, and then at some point during the warp room, then going through and actually finishing one of the levels, at which point you actually get credit for all the crystals. That is the game over abuse category. But that's a really weird way to go about the game, so so that's why there's this category. So that timer, didn't actually mean to get that gem, but it's fine. But that gem was for finishing the level before that timer runs out. With casual movement, you have just enough time to get there, but well, you could see I had so much time left that sort of shows how much time the neutral slide spins save. So here we are in the... Oh, okay, we have third mask form. So I will use what is the fastest form of movement in third mask form, which amazingly enough is crawling. As I said, third mask form movement speeds are weird.
I can confidently say, with all of the casual play I've done with this game, I've never crawled as third mask.
Yeah, that is... It's something. Definitely one of the oddities of third mask form in this game. So, we had a split path. We used the left one because that's where the crystal is. If this were 100%, I would have ducked forward to get the first two boxes in that path, and then ducked into the back to get the rest. And you can also see... Ah, yes. I also forgot to mention the glitch high jump, where if you do a... Skip a couple splits here. So if you spin right after doing a slide jump or a high jump, you actually go a little tiny bit higher. And that is enough to do things like get you out of one of those pits if you end up in one and don't jump over it. And if I can keep my neutral slide spin movement continuous enough through the little house things in between these snowball sections, that causes an animation where Crash tumbles forward as if just escaping from the boulder to not happen. And that's a nice thing to have not happen because it's uninterruptible once it starts happening and loses a bunch of time. There's our crystal. And after this final little section, that will be 5 crystals we have, so it will be time for the first boss. At the end of all these types of levels, there's always... Oh wow, I actually got the animation skip there too, that's good. But anyway, that is 5 crystals, so it is time for our first boss, Ripperoo. This fight is completely fixed patterns. It is effectively just an auto-scroller. If you have anything you want to say, this is a wonderful time to do it.
Well, I just would like to give an update on the incentives we have out there. Our next run, Titanfall 2, we have an incentive from Lord Fluffy where if we can hit this incentive, Lord Fluffy will voice act one of the opening cutscene of the final boss for us.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that myself. We are looking for we need $150 by the end of the next, near the end of the next run. In order to see that done, I can't wait for that. I hope you all want to see that as much as I do. So please, please get your donations in now, and remember to put those donations towards one of our open, either that bid or one of the other bid wars we have open. Please remember to put the donation toward those at the bottom of the screen.
Alright, good timing on that body slam. It doesn't actually save time to do that, I just like to do that. But anyway, that is 5 levels and a boss done, so that is 1 warp room finished. Just 4 more of those. And we start with Snowbiz, another snow level. So we have here a lot more ice. There's a thing in this first side-scrolling section here that is another little demo of the extra speed that neutral slide spinning gives you, and that is those porcupines. With ordinary running, those long since have their spikes out and will damage you if you just do your usual movement into them. But, well, neutral slide spinning gets you there fast enough that the spikes aren't all the way out by that time, so we can just keep going through as if they aren't there. And then Air Crash is going to be another river level, sort of like Hang 8 was. There is... yeah, something I sort of... something towards the end of the level that... something I... yeah, it's a little tiny thing, but something I consider sort of... special to this category. But first, we gotta get through this river section, try and avoid those mines, don't have Crash turn the board the wrong way, and lose a bit of time to that movement. And then we have cycles on those platforms where we ended up in a good spot on them. Here we are. So, in 100% you can damage boost from those mines onto that to not have to go forward and re-break those boxes. But that nitro I passed is the thing I was referring to. I like to call it the any percent nitro, because you only see it in any percent categories. In 100% categories, when you get there, it's already blown up. So now we have a new type of level. This will be Bear It, where we ride Polar the Polar Bear, continuously moving forward, and yeah, there's a slight boost and a jump you can do to preserve that boost speed, but other than that, it's pretty much just... well, after I... yeah, this is... This can be a bit of trouble in 100%, because if you miss a box, you have to death warp back to a checkpoint to try again, because you can't go back. Also, these levels have some of the best death animations in the game. Hopefully we won't be seeing those, but they are a bit of a saving grace if something does go wrong in this level. Another thing about this is, with that mechanic, some sets of boxes, like those last three, can be particularly troublesome in 100%. But all we care about here is getting through it. So Crash Crush is another level of running from boulders. And this one will add some new stuff, such as electric barriers. And these ones actually are going to be a little bit different from the ones that are in the remaining level with chase sections. We'll get to one of those in a little bit, like, there we are. Yeah, so these ones actually are high enough off the ground that you can, that you'll make it right under them if you neutral slide spin. So sort of like the porcupines in Snowbiz, we don't have to worry too much about those being there. Alright, got the animation skip there. And our last little chase section of this level. The game's being pretty generous with those little boost pads there. And the reason for that is these last few boxes, where you gotta do a really time-consuming body slam to get that first one. You just barely make it in, like, with ordinary movement, but, well, you could see that with what I was, with this movement, we got the boulder pretty much all the way off the screen. One more level in this warp room, and that will be a new type of level. A sewer level. Yeah, the main thing about these is these occasional pools of water that have an electric eel in them that electrifies the water on a cycle. Many of the ones, particularly in this level, are ones that are short enough that we can pretty much just jump right over them. And there's nothing down that right path except for the green gem, but we don't need that. But here we do need to do both paths because the crystal's here. Yeah, we didn't need that mask anyway. And then on this final area of the level, we get introduced to this little hanging grid thing. Whoa, I made that. So you'll notice Crash doesn't move particularly fast along that. Crash moves much faster along it when you're in third mask form. And in a later level of this type, we actually will be trying to get third mask form to take advantage of that. Yep, but that is another 5 crystals, so it is time for the next boss. We will be fighting the Komodo brothers. Oh, I got sword glitch. So sometimes when you hold X to skip the little introductory cutscene of this boss fight, you can be considered to be continuously in contact with, well, we're close enough to the brother in the middle that he'll do his like sword slam attack, and somehow it'll still count as hitting you. Bounce to a useful place. There we go. Yeah, I was slightly mispositioned, so Komodo Joe did not get to the proper distance between the center and the edge to actually stop spinning. Okay. Do we get only... Oh! We got a third throw. Okay, now we have... There's our third hit. So, 2 warps down. 3 more to go. And we'll start with plant food being another river level. And in this one has a timer gem, sort of like Hang 8 did, except that in this case it's the yellow gem. And again, we don't actually need it, we don't actually want it, because all getting a gem does in this category is waste time, as Crash does his thing of throwing it up into the air in the warp room and watching it glide into place. Now we got these piranha plant-looking things here. Oh, and I got the, well, I boosted with proper timing that I could save a mask there. Having a mask here lets me just go forward here without pre-killing the plants there, which will hit you. So, yeah, just spending a mask on it is much faster than going forward to pre-kill them. But with that extra mask saved, there's a really good spot to use it in this level. So this is Sewer Later. As you might expect from the name, it's another sewer level, which has some newer stuff in it, including those enemies with blowtorches. Those are on a cycle of blowtorching upward harmlessly and going and firing the thing sideways, which of course will harm you. We also have these fast fans. Another good thing to use a mask on, although with proper timing and positioning, like I did for that second one, you actually... Good. I at least didn't lose another mask there and completely not cash in on the advantage of bringing the extra mask into the level. Anyway, we got the crystal from back there. There are two more of these. We're not on the... well... the cycle has them going outward, so we just use our masks to get past them. And that brings us to Bear Down, which is another one of those polar bear levels. Yeah, there isn't really all that much that's interesting in it compared to the other levels, so this would be a good time if you have more things you might want to say.
I just want to welcome in anybody who's joined us mid-run. You are watching Midwest Speedfest Fall Frenzy, a 4-day charity speedrun marathon supporting One Iowa. To donate, go to donate.midwestspeedfest.com or type !donate in chat and follow the link. And don't forget to put your donation towards one of our open incentives. We do have the Bid Wars. We have the incentive in the next run, Titanfall 2, where we'll have some voice acting for the opening cutscene of the final boss. As well as a couple of bid wars for the following run, Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you can choose both the gender and the name of the main character. And I see we got one of those cute little death scenes.
Yeah, unfortunately we did, but there are some pretty good death animations in these. It wouldn't be a Crash game without them.
It's not quite Coco doing flips from Crash 3, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, probably one of my favorite ones from this level type is if you hit one of those whales, where Crash does the usual bog standard angel animation, but holding Polar under one of his arms. So our next level here, this is Road to Ruin. It's a type of level we haven't seen before. Yeah, these are themed after this ancient ruin type things, but they also are mostly a bottomless pit. So there's a lot more platforming in these levels than in other types. And what you saw there that I went past is a death route platform. Those show up if you have reached that point in the level without dying. There is one of those that we actually will use in a level in the next warp room. But mostly they just give you a gem. And the last level in this warp room is going to be Unbearable, which actually is sort of a cross between two types of levels that we have seen before. We have both a bear level and a boulder level, in some sense. As you can see, it's going to be a sort of a chase section, but yeah, the bears are suddenly much larger and more ferocious. And they still move at a speed that allows our neutral side spinning to get them almost entirely off screen by the time some of these longer chase sections finish. Ooh. Yeah, there I managed to run into one of those things in my little interval between sliding and spinning when I wasn't actually doing any kind of attack, so yeah, I kind of died to that, but there's our crystal. It's got a couple more of these case sections. For some reason I occasionally think that that platform's on the other side. So this has those electric barriers, sort of like the previous boulder level did, but in this level they're a little bit lower, so you actually have to be on the slide part of your neutral side spin. The spin part doesn't lower your hitbox enough. But this last section is where I was saying this sort of becomes a cross between two level types, because Big Bear meets Little Bear. But that is another 5 crystals, and so it is time for another boss. And this one will be Tiny the Tiger. This fight is probably the one major place in this run where there is RNG. So, pretty soon 3 platforms are going to drop. Hopefully one of them will be one that I can get Tiny to be jumping right onto, and that was the case. Repeat 2 more times. Except this time only 2 platforms will drop. So there's less of a chance of it being in a useful place. Okay, 1 extra hop. Third phase is where this gets a bit tricky, because if the platform that drops is one of the corners... Oh, that's nice. Oh, and even nicer, the one platform that stays up is the one that I was on. Yeah, but if the one platform that drops is one of the corners and you aren't luring Tiny onto that corner at that moment, you pretty much can't do that and have to wait for that platform to come back up and another one to drop. Anyway, here we are in the 4th warp room. And this one I'm actually going to not do the levels in order. And that is because this warp room contains the one level where it's useful to get third mask form. But that happens off of the first mask box that the level has, so we need to bring 2 masks into it. So we have to bring those out from another level. And this one will do nicely. So this level type has some things like underground sections with dirt that you can burrow under to protect yourself from certain things we'll see a bit later in the level. And these electric barriers, and these other piranha plant looking things that spit explosive fruit at you. Spinning actually prevents them from damaging you, so you'll often see me spin when I'm about to land in the vicinity of one of those. So those were the only 2 mask boxes in the level, so I am going to need to go do another level to try and get a second mask back to bring into hanging out. But for now, we'll still go through this. A glitch high jump will get you over those, so you don't have to wait for the cycle. And you can also see that we have entered a section with some bees. So each beehive has a zone up to some upcoming full-width pit. And... oh, I meant to slide there, not spin. And when you are in that zone, a bee comes out of the beehive and chases you. So in this level, the bees move at not a ridiculous speed, so you can spin the bee if it catches up to you. But that will change in the other bee level that shows up in this game. Which actually is the one that we'll be doing last in this warp room. This game sort of has a thing for introducing a new level type and then having two of it in the warp room where it first appears. So since we didn't bring 2 masks out of that, we will go do Ruination first, hoping that we can bring a second mask out of that. So this is another Ruin level. And this one sort of reprises a bunch of box patterns from the first one, but with some nitros mixed in. So you gotta watch out for those. That little section there is just like something in the other level, but those boxes fill in with nitros instead of regular boxes. Alright, even if we end up losing this mask, there is still one more in the level, so it's not a huge deal if we end up losing one. But because I do want to make sure I do bring the 2 masks out, and I do want you to see the impact of third mask form on that one level, I am gonna play. I decided to play. Oh, that's third mask form. Didn't want that, but well, that's just what I get for getting a bit too lost in my commentary. So, we have our 2 masks to bring into hanging out. So here we are. We gotta get through this one little initial section here. Where you have these cleaning robots that move quickly toward you. And then we got this one hanging section. You can see again, Crash. It's not exactly the fastest thing moving along these. But we're about to get third mask form and change that. There, that's a lot more like it. And we don't have to worry about the cycles of those red hot spiky things either. And that is why every category of this game specifically routes this warp room so that it's possible to bring 2 masks into this level. So our next level, this is Cold Hard Crash. This is a snow level, and this is also the largest level in the game. It also has the largest number of boxes of any level in the game. And it's not really relevant to this category, but this also has one of the most one of the more infamous backtracks that you have to do to get all the boxes for the box gem. In the 100% category, we actually do a box duplication glitch to get around that. But there's no need for that here. Oh, and I skipped the checkpoint too. Oops. Well, while I get back up to there, yeah. There's something quick you might want to say, feel free to do so.
I'd just like to let people. We are raising money for One Iowa, a charity organization that advances, empowers, and improves the lives of LGBTQ Iowans statewide. It is extremely important, now and always, to support LGBTQ individuals, especially in underrepresented and overlooked areas such as Iowa. You can donate directly to One Iowa by typing !donate in chat, or going to donate.midwestspeedfest.com. Additionally, One Iowa is a 501c3 organization, meaning your donation is tax deductible if you live in the United States, and furthermore, it means your employer may match your donation.
Yeah, that's a wonderful class and a wonderful thing, actually. Yeah, do make sure to check whether your employer might match donations, because it really can help them go a lot farther. Anyway, so I wasn't able to do the death route because, well, I died before getting to it, so I had to do the main part of the level. Which I very rarely have to do. But, well, it worked out. I was so rusty on that main part of the level because I very rarely have to do it. Any percent normally skips it by doing the death route, which is faster, and 100% skips the need to do that by doing the box duplication glitch. So, so that path is some rare mileage, for, speedruns of this game. Anyway, that brings us to the last level in this workroom. This is Behaving. You can see that things are sort of like they were in Diggin' It, but the beehives are a bit larger. They also spawn more bees. And the bees move a lot faster, and are otherwise more ferocious. Casually, you can't outrun them. So that's why there's that darker colored ground there that I accidentally dug under. Because spinning on it actually causes Crash to burrow under it, and that will protect him from the bees. But with neutral side spinning, we can still outrun the bees, even with their much higher speed that they have in this level. There we had, well, the game had to provide some boost pads for non-speed tech movement to eventually be able to get past the bees there. And here's our last little beehive here. I should have just gone for that since I have 2 masks, and the boss fight I'm about to go into takes them away from me anyway. Anyway, that is 20 crystals. That is another 5, so time for another boss. So this will be Engine. This is probably the most substantive of the boss fights in this game. There are 3 phases, one of hands, then one of shoulders, and then one of, gotta count my hits here. Okay, both of them are 1 hit away from death. And no kill like overkill. So that is phase 1. Phase 2 is the shoulders, and getting the double kill here is much more important. Okay, we are at 1 and 3. Because if you only kill one of them... Okay, 3 and 3, 3 and 4... And we got double shoulders. So if you only kill one of the shoulders, it resets the animation cycle. It also gives a few extra hit points to the remaining shoulder. And also, it's just a bad time.
Please, with your insistence, prepare to suffer his wrath.
Additionally, you may notice engine moving slower than you may be used to seeing. That is because I am playing the PAL version. There are many reasons that the PAL version is best for speedrunning this game. Most notably, the movement is a little bit faster and the jumps are a little bit higher, and that can make a slight difference. But also, some of the bosses' movement wasn't adjusted for the change of frame rate. So the bosses, engine being a notable one, move a bit slower, which may sound like not the best thing, but it makes it a lot easier to deliver the necessary hits. There's also, Crash also has a slightly larger body slam hitbox. This is much more relevant in 100% than it is in any percent. But, okay, that was scary. But anyway. This is Piston It Away, one of the 2 piston levels. Here we have these shrink rays. Oh, and these lab assistants with shields that generate this lovely scream when you hit them into a pit. But didn't quite make it onto there. Now, we won't see this until the other piston level that we're going to do, but you can see those enemies that have a dangerous neck. And you're intended to slide into them, but for some reason sliding down onto them from above works too, even though jumping on them will hurt you and any other method of attacking them will also hurt you. Anyway. This level is called Rocket, and it is one where Crash uses a jetpack. Through some properly timed pausing and jumping, it is possible to skip the jetpack and go through this area with Crash's usual ground movement, but yeah, it's really tough to do that, and also risks crashing the game if you hit an enemy that doesn't have an animation for hurting you on, not on the jetpack. So I'm just going to do this the usual way. So you're supposed to need to hit those things twice. Once to get them a bit closer to that plasma field, and the other time to actually hit it into the plasma field and kill them. But you may notice that if I just gun it forward, I pass right through, and the plasma field isn't actually there and doesn't hurt you. That is a PAL-specific skip. So here we are in Night Fight, where this level is dark and we have these fireflies lighting the way. When you touch one, it'll follow you and light the way for a short period of time. A short period of time that just so happens to almost exactly match the amount of time it takes to to get to where the next Firefly is at ordinary casual movement speed. Interesting how things work like that. Anyway, because of that, you may notice that I will often have a Firefly last a decent distance into the next section, and I find that to be a nice way to visualize the amount of time that is being saved by our speed movement. Here's our final little section here. And that is Night Fight. There is a second level of this type in the game, but it's in the secret warp room, so only 100% does it. Then we have Pack Attack, which is another jetpack level with a bit more stuff to it. The timing of that those warning buzzes is also different from the NTSC version, so it's another thing that may look a bit odd to someone not used to seeing runs of this. Anyway, PAL-specific skips for the win. It's interesting how the plasma isn't actually something that's there and will to do something bad to you, because you were never expected to actually be able to get to it. That's what masks are for. Oh, that was not the split I wanted to do. Anyway, one more level remains. This is spaced out. This is another piston level. That thing about introducing a new level type and having two of it in that warp room, well, so nice they did it twice in this warp room. And that gem path goes to a path that requires all 5 of the colored gems. And we have another little special skip here. We got this little section behind glass. And we got some nitros we got to avoid and other enemies. But if we do a glitch high jump, and we bounce off the top of that shield, and if I actually hold down for long enough, which I didn't do, it would be possible to get on top of the glass and just neutral slide spin along it to skip having to deal with the rest of what's down there. And then we have those shrink ray particles, and then we have those enemies that are supposed to only be slidable, but sliding from above counts too. And we also got hit by those shrink rays. Oh, that slide. I got that out just in time. By the way, those shrink ray particles, you can spin them and then that'll get rid of them. When I first learned that from watching runs of this, wow. Just having known that as a kid would have been so helpful.
I just learned something, and I'm very mad I didn't know that before.
The same thing applies to spinning away those logs that are thrown at you in certain parts of the ruin levels. I had the same feeling about that when I first saw that happen in a run. Anyway, this is the final boss fight. It's another jetpack level. It is probably the most anticlimactic boss fight, final boss fight in the Crash series. I just have to catch up to Cortex, spin him 3 times, and the 3rd time will be time, so get ready on time, and time!
GG, very well done.
Thanks. Yeah, so that is Crash 2 any percent no game over abuse. And thanks so much to
Crash, what do you suppose
Midwest
happened to
Speed Fest for
Cortex?
having me to
And
do
what
this.
about the Cortex
Really,
Cortex?
really
It's still up there.
sorry about having my setup break and not let me get this started quite when I was supposed to. But yeah, there we are. Yeah, you can find me at Stump230 on Twitch and on Twitter. And yeah, good luck to the rest of the runners in this. I actually will be back on here, I think it's sometime on Saturday. I gotta recheck the schedule, but I'll be hosting a little bit. But yeah, thanks for watching this, and yeah, good luck to everyone else.
Thank you very much for that amazing run, Stump. We will be heading back to intermission shortly while we get set up for the next run of Titanfall 2 from Lord Fluffy. Until then, enjoy the music, and we will see you back here shortly.